So like if I go to the members area, I can even walk through this process even through the screen. So I can share screen. You guys can see there. So like if I'm in the members area, what I'll do is go to we're going to look for the book. So I'm going to just go to discovery. Because
Okay.
in the discovery section, that's where a lot of the really important stuff is. And so I keep the book right there in the discovery section. And then from there, you can just click the link to the PDF.
Um,
And this really cool tool, oh, let me log in here. I use Adobe, so it makes sure that I'm logged in every time it's not going to ask you for you, but for me, I actually selected open all PDFs in Adobe because I do a lot of editing and contracts and things. So it's in here. Now, if I just hit Control F, let's see that little thing that pops up there on the top right? If I was to type in greenhouse and then hit enter, 1,
uh,
2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. I know there's an image somewhere.
oh, so you type the word and then look for it.
Yeah, you can type the word in. I know I have an image of it somewhere. Maybe I just kind of threw the image in without really saying greenhouse. I don't know. I mean, what else would I put in? I mean, I have a book in front of me. Let me see if I can find the page because I know I have a breakout of it. There's also a section, I think, in the members area here where I also talk about the greenhouse. It's a really nice image. I drew it. And oh, I found it. It's on page. It's in the back. It's by PVC Greenhouse. Oh, it says greenhouse materials. Here, let me do this. Greenhouse materials. There we go. You see it?
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, so there's the details.
Yeah. Yeah, I really broke it down really nicely, and I can even zoom in a little bit for you.
Oh, so okay. So what we have in the book is this one.
This is the greenhouse that's in that video that you just saw. I
Okay.
built this with a frame, a wooden frame on the ground. So if I'm looking at the right image, the greenhouse exploded view at the very bottom, you can see I took these pipes and I put them in the ground. I just buried those 8 pipes in the ground. And then I put a wooden base around it. And then I put a frame, a door frame, moving up in the image, put a door frame and then put some framing along the edges there to hold it up. But really what's holding that up are these PVC pipes. I just bent the PVC pipes. They're straight gray PVC pipes that I bent and I slid them in those bigger holes that are in the ground. And I just slid them in there and they kept that shape. They kept that round shape. And then from there, I put the
Already.
plastic over top, and then I have the shade cloth over top of that. And then you can see on the left view, that's essentially what it looks like all together.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
It's really nice.
PVC. So how big is the PVC and
Okay.
how
Yeah.
long?
So I think I did talk about, maybe I didn't actually talk about the actual details in this particular moment. I wanted to break this out and give you guys even more details with like the actual dimensions and things.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that I might have even had maybe even like a greenhouse detail. Maybe it was oil machine detail. Let's look in here. Let's see what it says in here for greenhouse. So even in the members area, just type in greenhouse. Search bar is really cool. So I posted this here. I might actually have some more details. I thought I did. Okay, this is a story of how I started actually. This is my very first greenhouse that I ever built.
Oh, wow.
And all it was some nursery tables that I put some really cool, you know, Frank Gehry from the museum, the guy that the architect that designed that really crazy museum. I think it's like the Guggenheim Museum, Frank Gehry. He's an
No
architect. And
idea.
so I made the roof structure actually kind of lay out the Guggenheim Museum.
I
That's how
know.
much of an architecture nerd that I am. So that's actually the
Okay.
Guggenheim that before the Guggenheim, what do we call that? I called that business, what was that? I think that was just Newman Nursery at the time. That's when I started Newman Nursery. And yeah, I had the van at that time, Newman Nursery. These were my little plants in there. And
Oh,
then I moved into my buddy's house at a townhouse after moving out of this house in the backyard. I put this, and then I moved into my buddy's house and I built these
um,
aquaponic raised beds
yeah.
with plastic. And so I drilled, I actually used to have, and then I brought these over from another house that I lived at that I built these at in about 2014. So about 10 years ago. And this was my
Oh,
aquaponics bed that I actually had a vertical grow. What do you call those? Vertical walls or vertical grows, aquaponics walls. And I had built out a bunch of aquaponics walls, not in this location, but I actually brought these beds over to this location and fit them in this little back townhouse backyard. There's a wall over here to the left that I built an herb wall and had Thai basil and all kinds of herbs growing out of here. I built this up against the back wall here. This was in like 2014. This was when I first started going to the farmer's market and started having plants and started having little things to sell. Started having like strawberries and raised pots. Started having aloe veras, and this is where I had sage and a lot of little wild herbs that were growing. And then, of course, little baby moringas started getting a little bit more into moringa and getting. This is my very first moringa tree actually in a pot. Actually, the guy that
oh,
I'm buying that
yeah.
we're buying this property from, the owner of this property that we're about to get the deed from, he gifted me this moringa tree right here. This was one of
Oh,
my biggest um, and oldest moringa trees that I got. And I planted this in Seminole Heights. And I actually have a photo of that tree just in January. It's huge. It's huge. This tree right here, I have a picture of. I'll have to do a before and after now that I'm seeing this. And I know exactly where that tree is, and she's huge. Actually, my one of my friend's kids was in the tree. He was way up in the tree. I'm like, holy crap, man. She's like, don't take any pictures and post that
oh, yeah.
because she's got her little kid in there. So that's the next greenhouse, and then and at her house, I was living at her house, and I built this greenhouse. So this was the next step for me. And then I had fans up there, and then had it kind of up against her house with like a fence. This was like a walkway going into her into her yard. This was in the backyard, and you're looking into her front yard where I planted a bunch of stuff in her front yard. Actually, I became kind of like the garden boy and the Airbnb host. I became the Airbnb host at this location. And so I started building out this greenhouse was the next greenhouse that I built. And then after that greenhouse, I built this
Oh,
greenhouse.
there.
And then this was on the other side of that greenhouse that I just showed you. And this is where I really started popping off.
Oh,
This was about the same time that I graduated. So this was about 2016, 2017.
oh,
This was when I first sold my vending machine business and I really went full time on Moringa plant life. My
oh.
parents were like, "You're not going to go get a job?" I'm like, "I got dreads and no, I'm not." No, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna do this plant thing. I'm gonna become a farmer. And so then this was the greenhouse that I put up next, which is nice because anytime it like really got cold, I was able to drop that plastic down. And anytime it heavy rained, I was able to have it covered. And I also you can kind of see to the right there, there's sprinklers. I hooked up a tube and had a sprinkler system underneath here and was able to water these babies just by turning a little hose. And so they stayed
Oh,
watered really well. This was in
oh,
2017. Then the next step was this greenhouse that we're at now.
okay.
Yeah. And so I recently put this one up in 2020 and have it since installed doors and put up fans there to help with circulation since this picture was taken. I've since taken out the floor and now we have 3,000 seeds growing out of the base. So this is a scale drawing of it here. So this lays out the actual square footage and everything.
Oh, 12.25.
Amazing. 60 foot
60.
by 12.25. So
Oh,
that's the long-winded answer to your question.